What's up, everybody? I'm back with another video game review, and this is of Crash 3, or better known as Crash Bandicoot Warped. Crash, the third Crash Bandicoot game. This game was released back in 1998. Yep, we had Crash 1 in 1996, Crash 2 in 1997, Crash 3 in 1998. Efficient output processes, I could say there, for this game. But yep, now as you guys know, I've been playing these on the Insane Trilogy package that I have for the PS4. So this was the last of those games that I got to play. So let's get down into this review. But just again, just a disclaimer: I played the remastered version, not the original version. So my thoughts will be of the remastered. So the big thing about this game is the masks and time warping. And the time warp thing isn't really explained as well or utilized to its as full of a potential as I think it could have been. Because really all it does is just giving us an excuse to play levels again. It doesn't really do much. It's like showing like, oh, we can get crystals by going back in time, but at the end of the day it doesn't really show how that really works. It would make more sense if they did past levels from the first two games to re-get the crystals from there, but they're all new levels. What's the change? It just wasn't as well utilized as I thought it could have been. But and then another big addition to this game is Coco, Crash's sister. You can actually play as Coco in some of the. Actually, you do play as Coco. You can. Well, I can't say you can. You can, and you have to. In some of the levels, you play as Coco. And again, I don't know why. It's not a disadvantage to play as her, but it's not an advantage either. I would think she would have some of her own unique movesets or some own abilities that would fit into the levels that she's put in over Crash. But she's not. They're the same thing. They play the same way. Most of the ones that she's actually in don't require any skill, don't require any like special abilities at all. They're either ones where she's riding on the tiger, we'll get to those a little bit later, she's getting chased, or she's flying in an airplane. So it feels like just a lot of wasted potential there for Coco. And it's something I won't be playing any future Crash Bandicoot games, but hopefully that she was utilized a little bit better, or just leave it up to Crash at that point. That's my thoughts on it. One thing that was very confusing to me, because the big enemy is still Cortex, but now he's controlled by the evil mask, who's also named Uka Uka. Why are both the good and the bad masks called Uka Uka? That makes it so confusing. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Maybe they're all named Uka Uka. I don't know. It just was really weird to me. Now let's get down to the actual game itself. The story is self-explanatory with the time warping and stuff. It wasn't super much more elaborate. It was kind of just like a back history on the evil masks, more say as far as story goes, but not really anything too elaborate, I should say. One thing I really liked from this game was finally having mystery boxes, like real, actual mystery boxes that can give you lives and not just a certain amount of fruits. They're the ones where it like changes between box and you can hit the one that you want. Thank you. That is a great move. God, it took you 3 games to finally figure it out, but you did. Congratulations. Sorry about my chair. Keeps sinking. Might be over the weight limit for this thing. Who knows? But yeah, that's a great addition. It makes it a lot easier to get lives. Because I actually got up to one point having about 13 lives, which I think is a record for me in a Crash Bandicoot game. Lost almost all of them in the first boss fight. But who am I to be mad at that? We'll get to those a little bit later. So another big additions to this game are a lot of vehicle levels. One of them is like racing. You race as a motorcycle, crash on a motorcycle, and you race on a course with a bunch of other carts. And you're trying to win. If you win the race, you get the crystal. Why? These are horrible. I'm a racing gaming fan. These are not well made at all. The good news is you can't lose lives on these levels. But you can get lives, so it's a great way to grind lives out. So that's good. But God, they are just so annoying with how tight the turns can be, and there's like you're gonna slide off the course. How punishing sliding off the course is. The holes that just pop out of nowhere because it's midnight and you're out there racing with dark holes that look like shadows. The ramps that the boost panels that make it so that's impossible to turn. And so conveniently all the boost panels are located right next to sharp corners. How like the guy who's starting first starts like halfway through the race and you start way behind the start finish lines. You gotta wait, you gotta catch up. And how like first, second, and third are like a mile ahead of the rest of the field. How there's cop cars everywhere that try and stop only you. It's just little much. But just no. Why 3 of these levels too? There was 3 of them in this game. Why? And then also the aircraft levels, which were, there was 2 of those. First one wasn't hard at all. I did it in one shot. Second one took me a while because of the inaccuracy of the gun that you're given to shoot with on the plane, and how the bomber planes that you have to shoot down are bullet sponges. They take 1,000,000 bullets just to bring down one of them, while you're getting missiled by 3 planes who can take away 330% of your health in one shoot. That was fun. And then of course, how could I forget the good old, I call them rodeo levels now. The ones where you have to get on an animal and ride it around and try not to hit anything. Well, now the first game was a hog. The second one was a polar bear cub. Now it's a tiger cub. Ooh, so different. Does not do anything at all. They do make the tiger go a little bit slower, so it's easier to control, but only by this. They're still extremely annoying, especially now that they make a bunch of them jump cuts, and then you got to run over these dragons that can change their direction and their altitude. They still suck. They're still annoying. Why do these exist? Why do these need to exist? Why do you have to include them in every single game, every single world of every single game that you make? Too much game, too much. There's less of the chasing ones where you get chased by something, which is good. There's, I think, 1 of them. 1 or 2 of them, you get chased by a triceratops. And they're just as annoying as shit, too. Because the game likes to utilize some of the upgrades, and when you can't see it's coming, it's great. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Still sucks. Some other things that were nice about this game, I did like how you get upgrades to crash after beating every boss, instead of just the final boss. It still gives the game replayability because you still get the speed shoes again after defeating Cortex this time. So there's some replayability, but there's not as much of a need to go back and get everything as there is in the first game, because it's not all built around getting this thing that you only can get by beating the final boss. There's stuff that it's more accessible to do, and the upgrades are more so that makes it easier to complete them, makes it more willing to complete them, versus the need to have the upgrade to complete them, which I think is a great addition. Speaking of the bonus levels, they are a lot easier this time around versus Crash 2, where many of them you couldn't even complete the first time you played the game because you needed the speed shoes, which you can only get again after defeating Cortex at the end of the game. This time they're a lot easier to complete, for the most part. There's a couple that stood out as ones that were pretty difficult to beat, but for most part they were easier to beat. The catch is, the rewards are not as great. Some of them I didn't even get a life from because they didn't have a life. Um, but yeah, so that was fun. But they're easier to complete. Some of them they at least had some of them mostly had at least one life. Some had two. Some you could get a bunch of apples from that gave you lives. So it wasn't all bad. Some of them were really annoying to complete though. And I guess this still gives the incentive of some replayability. But it's nice to be able to play all the bonus levels that you can. I even tried some death run stuff. Maybe. I don't know if it was actually death run stuff though. Because I died before getting to that, but it was still there. So I don't know what that was. But it's hard as shit. I died and then just gave up. But yeah. I also did like the Easter eggs to. I also like the Easter eggs to past games on the big video board that Coco is operating, and it's got past stuff in the game from like the first two. That's pretty cool. I liked that little nod to that there. I also liked the. Of course, you have Cortex, and you also have the Tiger guy as far as bosses that come back to this game. The rest of them are new to the third game. As far as I know, thinking back about Crash 1 and 2, I think only those two were new. I don't remember. But the boss fights are stupid. Yes, they are. They are stupid. The first boss battle is infinitely harder than any level before it. The second boss fight is a lot easier, but it takes some rhythm. The third boss fight is stupid because, again, there's still the problem of depth perception. There's still the problem of the jump ability, and you make it where it has to be so precise. Holy shit. Oh my god. And like I said about the mechanics of the game, if you want my rants about the mechanics of these games, you can check out my reviews of Crash 1. I talked about it all in there, so. But yeah, crazy shit. The boss fights are... And then the final boss, I heard a lot of people are complaining about Cortex's battle because it's really hard to get him knocked in the hole. I did it in 2 tries. The only time I didn't do it because I didn't do it in the first try is because I got bullshit kicked by one of the masks and it killed me. But like, okay, sure. I actually completed this game all in one sitting, by the way. It was the first time I'd ever done that in any of the Crash games I've played. I actually also got 2 of the gems for the first time ever. In the first level of the game and in the first racing level of the game, I got gems for getting all the crates. First time I ever did that. So that right there speaks to, and I will say it myself, this was definitely the easiest of the 3 that I had played on the Insane Trilogy thing. There were some very difficult parts to the game. It's not all 100% easy, but it's definitely a lot. But the hard stuff is fewer and far between than in the first 2. Especially the first game. The second one even so a little bit. So that's something to look forward to if you're dreading playing these games. But yep, that's going to do for my review of Crash Warped. My final score, probably have to give it a good 8 out of 10. That's a good score for it. And that's going to do it for this game review. It's not the last Crash Bandicoot game review, though. I did play the next one that came out, the 4th game. That will be its own review. I played it prior to playing Insane Trilogy, which I wish now I didn't do, but I did. I played on the original system. That review will be coming soon. I've been delaying it because of the fact I wanted to get all 3 of these done, and I did, so they're coming out soon. But if you hear any like repeat stuff, that's why, because it was the first of the 4 that I played. Just so you know. So, but that's gonna do it again for this game review. If you've ever played Crash Warped in the original version or the new version, I'd like to know your thoughts about it in the comment section down below. And that's gonna do. And again, here, stay tuned for much more amazing content, including more game reviews and other awesome stuff. Until next time, I will see you guys later. Okay, bye.